In recent years, we have received some amazing intellectual property houses at Halloween Horror Nights. Those included being Poltergeist, Beetlejuice, and Ghostbusters, just to name a few. But I will say this, there are a few that have technically been left off the list a time or two. And that's what I'm here for today. I'm going to give you 5 IPs that I think would make phenomenal haunted houses, and I'm shocked that they haven't happened yet. And for a little bit of foreground before we get into this really, I need to say some of these houses could have potentially been speculated in the past, or they're things that were going to happen and then we lost them last minute. So, with that, I'm going to dive straight into my number 5. And my number 5 is Stephen King's It, or honestly, anything that is made by Stephen King, because Stephen King has never been featured at the event. Yes, we've had The Shining, however, it was Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, not Stephen King's The Shining. Now, back to It overall in general, this would be a phenomenal haunted house. Being able to go and visit Derry, Maine, and see this whole city, see this curse that is occurring, and honestly be able to see Pennywise in all of his different forms. It would just be so cool. It would be like seeing Stranger Things for the first time all over again, especially with the kids. So this house right here, I think, would be a 10 out of 10, and it is a huge mistake for Universal to not do this, but we understand with the rights and everything, it is very difficult. So here we are with our fingers crossed for this to be a haunted house one day. And now moving away from my number 5, we go to my number 4, and that is going to be Clive Barker's Hellraiser. Now, I talked about this a lot in my HHN Dream Map, and truly, this is something that would be mind-blowing, being able to go into this entire realm of the Cenobites and seeing all the different creatures and oddities that are inside of the cube would be phenomenal. It would be a 10 out of 10 experience, and honestly, this haunted house would blow people away. Just think of all the different designs they can use for those Cenobites and how creepy they can truly get. They can use a combination of puppets, live actors, and a whole lot of makeup and prosthetics. This house can truly be one of the best houses when it comes down to scenic and visual. So, this needs to happen someday. It really does. We move from 4 to 3, and 3 is something that you've probably heard me speculate every single year since I've started doing speculation, and that is Scream. Scream is a pipe dream for me at this point. We almost had it back in 2015 with the whole 25th anniversary of Halloween Horror Nights. We were going to get Scream in its own little sprung tent, but it ended up getting purged and we lost it forever. However, this movie franchise on its own can carry a weight of a haunted house. It would be phenomenal. Being able to walk through the iconic scenes in Woodsboro, go all the way up to the latest film, and go to New York. Honestly, there's so many scenes, so many kills, and so many things that you can do all together with this property, and it would be a phenomenal house. So with that being said, this is definitely a pipe dream, and one day definitely needs to go pretty far. Now we move from 3 to 2, and we have The Conjure. Now, this is honestly one of the best things that have never come to Halloween Horror Nights. Granted, it's now going to be at a ton of Six Flags parks, because they're going to be housed at Six Flags, which I'm very intrigued. And honestly, if it's going to Six Flags over Georgia, I'll be there. You have my word. But, back to Horror Nights. Horror Nights can knock this out of the water. It could be one of the best houses you'll ever possibly see from them. Now, if you don't believe me, go and look at Insidious, for example, as it is one of the most popular houses that have ever been executed, and they both have similar types of vibes. So I feel like this can work really well in their favor, and truly it's going to be a great house. And now before I go into my number 1, I'm going to give you 2 honorable mentions. There can be 1,000 of them here, but just 2 to be safe. So, the first one is going to be Candyman. Of course, it is another slasher, and it is an amazing property that 1,000 people want to see at Horror Nights. Probably more than that, maybe 1,001. But honestly, it will be a great house. And then we go from that to another one, and this is more of a very, 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 like, I want this. Not that many people I know want this, but that is They Live. John Carpenter's They Live. Now, it's not something that we would typically see at Halloween Horror Nights, However, taking a different approach to this, making it a 3D house, would be really cool. And the reason I'd make it 3D is because the only way that you could see these otherworldly creatures is with those 3D glasses on, and I feel like that can truly add to the effect here in a haunted house, making it something that's dark instead of something that is bright and spooky. So those could really work together, and that's just my personal one. If you guys have any more of them, let me know down below because I'm very curious on what you guys want to see at the event someday. And now this leaves us with our number one, and the number one to me was very simple, and it's something that as soon as I saw it, I said this would be the perfect thing to put at Halloween Horror Nights, and that is Fear Street, Netflix's Fear Street. Now, if you haven't watched this, what are you doing? You're a horror fan, this is perfect for you, and I truly feel like this is honestly one of the best things that could ever happen to Halloween Horror Nights. It is a 3 movie series, if you guys haven't seen it yet, with each one tying together. However, each one is a different type of story. So one is medieval, so set with like, well, not technically medieval, but like think Salem witch trials era. So the one's there. One set in the 90s, and then one is set in the 80s. So it's like you have a camp, you have a slasher, and you have a medieval like witchcraft type of era. So it's perfect. And honestly, I feel like this would be a great combination. You can have so many different types of storylines going on in this house, or you can just have the one connective story going through the entire house. But altogether, that is what I think should come to Halloween Horror Nights someday. This whole list, and let me know down below if I missed anything, like I said earlier, because, well, there's a lot of things that everyone wants to see, and everyone has their own opinions, and I would like to know what you want to see at Halloween Horror Nights someday. So, with all that being said, if you guys like this video, do me a huge favor and give it a thumbs up. Comment down below what I just asked you to comment. Subscribe if you guys already haven't done so. And stay excellent, my dudes.